Well, joining me now from New York is Hooshang Amirahmadi. He's the former Iranian presidential candidate and the head of the American-Iranian Council. In Dubai, we have Iranian affairs analyst Camelia Entekhabifard. And from Tehran University is political science professor Foad Izadi. I thank you all for joining us. Foad, let me begin with you. Tell me why we've seen these clashes between the police and these Sufi protesters.
Well, I think it's the word clashes could be modified a little bit. A couple of nights ago, we had a bus that basically ran over a number of police officers that were unarmed, and 3 police officers and 2 civilians were killed because of the action of that bus. On the same night, we had a car again running over people, and this is not clashes. This is basically ISIS tactics, using cars as weapons, and we have a difficulty with that. This is a problem. Of course, there were crashes before, and the incident started from a rumor. The rumor was passed that a Sufi order leader was going to be arrested, and some of his followers came to his house because of that news, and it started basically creating disturbances, breaking windows, breaking cars, sort of as a disobedience of showing their disapproval of the idea of their leader being arrested, and based on the Iranian government official statements, there was no plan of arrest.
Okay.
So this was just a rumor that caused a lot of
So you feel
and deaths
okay.
of
Interesting. And sorry to interrupt you. I want to sort of bring in Camelia here. So Fuad feels there was an overreaction from this group, and he says these were not clashes. These were ISIS-type tactics from them, ramming over security forces and police officers. Tell me why you disagree with that.
Greetings to all dear participants and you, dear Imran. It's too difficult and it's too soon to rush ourselves and say that Darwish, which it has a history of being so peaceful and being so much popular in the society, for decades and for the almost like the 15th centuries, to say they are Daesh or they are extremists. We have to relate their acts, if we could say even they were involved at this violence, to the pressure has been received by the government, by the regime, by the Shia clerics, because their monasteries has been demolished and shattered in the past 15, 20 years. And also there was a threat against of their leader, Mr. Gonabadi, to get arrested. And of course, when that peaceful religious people felt to be threatened by the government, they came across to defend their leaders' houses. And then what we say, perhaps there would be some kind of irritation which it led them to be violent. Otherwise, I'm Iranian and like any other participants, and we know how peaceful and popular are dervishes, and I'm seeing them far beyond of having such an exercises against of the public assets and also the police and the security forces.
Okay, Hooshang Amirahmadi, for many of us, the news of the killing of the cops and the arrests and so on was our first introduction to this Sufi Gonabadi order, right? A lot of us had not known of them beforehand. I'm reading that the roots of this might be related to what Camelia is saying, that they've felt persecuted over the decades and there's a level of frustration among them. Is that true?
To some extent. I mean, first, this group, the roots of this group goes back to centuries, actually, as opposed to decades. They have been there. They are a faction of the Shia. They believe in almost the same thing that the Shia Islam believes in, except that just like a few other sects, like Ismaili and so on, they have their own particular way of looking at matters. So it's really not, in a sense, in a broader sense, a religious fight. That's number one. It has been there for some time. However, after the revolution, because Iran got an Islamic theocracy, they have become very intolerant of any sect that does not fit exactly within their frame of religious reference. For example, even the Sunnis in Iran are not allowed most of the time to practice whatever they believe. They don't have mosques except in a few places. So this is part of a broader, I would say, prosecution, if you may not want to call it prosecution, at least limitation that the Islamic Republic has imposed on other sects within the same Shia religion.
Okay, interesting points.
The second thing is,
yes.
I'm sorry?
Go ahead. Make the point, please.
So the second issue is that, as Camelia said, these are peaceful people. They used to be peaceful people, and they are. I obviously condemn any kind of violence, and I was absolutely shocked to see that a Darwish will go on a bus and take a few. But that's unheard of. I don't know what happened to this man. It's just as an Iranian, I can't even understand that behavior from a Darwish. Look, the third point I wanted to say is that I believe this matter comes from a sect within the Shia. We call it Hujjatiyya. And the Hujjatiyya within the broader Shia framework is a very intolerant sect. And they have been after almost every sect that they don't believe in, they don't like. And that includes, the Ismailis, the Gunabadis, the Baha'is, and you name them.
Right.
So again, this is part of a broader problem that the religious minorities have under this Islamic theocracy.
Okay, so Foad, what we're hearing from the other two is that this is symptomatic of a general intolerance. They're making the point that these guys are Shia, they buy into the system, but they have some nuanced differences. And over the years, looking at the track record, their mausoleums being bulldozed and the Basij attacking their sites and so on, it seems as if there's no space for them spiritually and politically in Iranian society. Is that fair? Is that true?
Yeah, I think being fair and being truthful is very important. I think we need to make sure that just because we don't like the Iranian government, we don't use every instance to attack the government using falsehood. The person that used the bus to kill 5 people was arrested, and if Iranian government did not follow due diligence in its judicial process, the person should be hanged by now. But the person is not. He's going to go to a court, and he's going to basically receive the justice that he deserves if he's found guilty. And if he's not found guilty, then that's going to be another matter. Using this instance to basically attack the Iranian government is not really a good idea. The Sunnis in Iran have representatives in the Iranian parliament. They have representatives in the assembly that elects Iran's leaders. We have ambassadors that are Sunnis. We have different government officials. The Sunnis are a minority in Iran, so they are not going to hold the majority of political posts because they're a minority. But they're respected, and in fact, both Shia and Sunni Sufis like Iran because the Sufis are among the Islamic sects that are attacked by the Takfiri Wahhabi sect. The Takfiris hate Shias and also they hate Sufis. And we have over 50 major Sufi tariqas or schools in Iran. All of them live peacefully.
Fuad, if you don't mind,
the Gunabadi sect,
if you don't mind, and my apologies,
is a sect that
just fold in what you're going to complete here into the answer to this question here. Let me ask you about the UN Special Rapporteur, who reported in March last year, a year ago, that members of Sufi groups in Iran, quote, continue to face arbitrary arrest, harassment, and detention, and are often accused of national security crimes. Is the UN Special Rapporteur wrong?
Yeah. You know, the Special Rapporteur that actually passed away a few days ago liked to get all her information from the opposition, from the people that you have interviewing in Dubai and New York and others. And since the opposition doesn't like the Iranian government, they give data that is not totally accurate.
No, it's not true, Professor
The
Fuad.
Sufis and the Shia sects are in fact united. Yes, you can speak when your turn comes.
Okay, it's her turn now.
They are united
Fuad,
against the Takfiri Wahhabi sects because they attack them.
So let's, Camelia, Fuad's made some accusations towards you. Come in, Camelia, defend yourself.
I am not opposition. I can speak on my behalf very well. I'm not opposition. We are just judging what we were thinking is not right and correct. There are a couple of things. First, the Sufis and Gunabadis, Darwish are not sect. They are Shia and believe on 12 Imam. What do they believe and makes them different with the reading Islamic Shiism from the government point of view is the separation between the politics and Shiism or Islam. They don't believe the government have to be led by a Shia government or an Islamic government. This is the difference between their belief and the reading of the government about Islam. And also, I didn't say they are going back to the decades. I said they are going back to the 15th centuries, but in the past couple of decades ago, there has been subject to an oppression as late Ms. Asama Jahangir, she correctly argued about the oppression against the minorities. Here, I am as an Iranian, doesn't like to call anyone minority and majority. We are all Iranians, regardless of the religion and about the sects and also ethnics. All of us are Iranian. What we are saying about the Darwish or the Sufis, particularly here, why they has been subjected to the oppression, I can see the organization is matter to the government. So I would like to talk about the environmental activists, which less than 2 weeks ago, a few of them have been arrested, and Mr. Sayyid Imami accordingly said to be committed suicide in the prison. Any association in Iran has been subjected to the pressure, to the oppression, and has been said to be the threat to the national security, no matter what they do, from the bus drivers to the teacher.
Okay.
None of those associations cannot be taking place because the government is not secure about itself, and they can see that sort of the threats may pose by anyone, particularly about the Sufis. I finished my word, because the Sufis are highly popular, and in the past few years, many of the youths tired of the reading Islams by the government has been joined them, and that has been seen as a threat against of the national security according to the government.
Okay, so Hooshang, what we're seeing here from Camelia is that she's making connections. She's saying there's a common theme, be it Sufis or be it bus drivers or be it people taking to the streets for economic grievances and so on. She puts it all in the same basket as the Iranian government not finding it okay to disagree with it. Is that correct, or is she making connections that don't exist?
She is correct in the sense that this trend is real. I mean, the founder of the Islamic Republic, the late Ayatollah Khomeini, very explicitly and clearly said that under the Islamic Republic, all religious minorities are going to be free to express and practice. This is a direct quote from the founder of the Republic. And I can give you exact quote reference if you wish. But unfortunately, over the years, this particular view of the Islamic Republic has changed. And a lot of the Islamic Republic's ideals, ideas, promises have over time been changed, and the Republic now, instead of being a revolutionary and Islamic and Iranian, it's none actually. It is, I very much respect Foad because I have heard him speak a lot, and he is a very fair person. Unfortunately, he's being very conservative in speaking out, because I know he speaks out, and I have always stood in his side when it comes to the nuclear issue and some other matters, but I don't know why he's being so conservative on this matter.
Okay, so let's ask
the fact is the Islamic Republic has changed, that this republic is not what it used to be.
Okay, so Fuad, the Islamic Republic of Iran is going against Ayatollah Khomeini's wishes, according to Hooshang. You're not being as pluralistic and diverse as even he wanted it to be, which might surprise some. What do you make of that?
Yes, I think Dr. Amirahmadi is correct in the sense that people like me criticize the Rouhani government on a daily basis. And then I come and talk to you, and then tomorrow I do another interview. So to make an evil from the Iranian government and call it restrictive in this manner, I don't think it's fair, because we have people that oppose the government on a daily basis, and they are not arrested, they are not put in prison. The Iranian government does react to someone who gets on a bus and kills people. And I think the Turkish government does that, and any other government does that. So security is important. Iranian police is unarmed when they see demonstrators. And the fact that you could get 5 people killed is because the Iranian police that was present there could not defend themselves with firearms. That's why you have all these deaths. I think we have to be fair. If you want to, your viewers are not generally Iranian, so they can have a test. Dr. Hooshang Amirahmadi is interviewed on Iranian press every week, so they can Google his name and they can see. They don't need to read Farsi.
Okay.
They can see the number of newspapers, magazines that interview him. And
Okay.
based on what he said today, you can make that he is not a supporter of the current government. So I think we need to be fair when we speak.
Okay. Unfortunately, Fuad, Hooshang, and Camelia,
just
I've got to move on. I'm sorry, so I
one.
really have to move on. I hope you'll all join us again on the Newsmakers in the not too distant future. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.